Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be, I have value. I am amazing. I've got actually about 22 different points that I'm going to go through you. And what we're going to talk about today is people who love and value themselves, how they look at the world, how they take action, and how they interact with other people in order to achieve the things they want. And what inspired me to come up with this idea or this topic today is I was doing some email coaching this morning. I was answering a bunch of people that had sent in emails and they were paying me to answer them. And I remember I was reading this email, this one particular, was actually a woman, she was a lesbian. And what I thought was really interesting in the tone of her email is she met this woman and she became really interested and infatuated with this particular woman. And it's the kind of person that comes along every few years. You probably heard me talk about. I've written about the kind of relationships I've had with some of those type of women that have come along in my life in my book, and how intense and how much richer those experiences are with somebody. It's just kind of like when you meet a new best friend. It's just not something that happens every single day. My personal experience and the way that I look at the world and the way I believe in life, there are certain people that the universe, God, the creator, whatever you want to call it, brings into your life, and you're supposed to have an experience with them. And when you meet that person, it's like the two of you fit together like a glove. It's just easy and effortless to be with them, whether it's a lover or a new best friend or somebody that becomes your business partner or a lifelong customer of your business, or just certain people you're going to click with in life. And the thing that struck me was that just reading her email is that she was projecting her fantasy onto this other particular woman who also happened to be a lesbian, and she ignored the fact that this other woman, even though she'd asked her out 2 or 3 times, always had an excuse. She's too busy, can't do this, can't do that, I'm sorry. Was very polite and respectful in how she rejected her, but at the end of the day, she ignored the reality of the fact that this woman just simply had zero romantic interest in her. And what was interesting is she just stayed hung up on this person. Even months later, continuing to send messages and reach out every few weeks, just like a lot of heterosexual guys that I do email and phone coaching sessions with. And the theme and what I took away from that is, and I pointed out to her in her email, is that the real problem is she just doesn't value herself. She doesn't respect herself. She doesn't love herself. Because anybody who loves, values, and respects himself and perceives himself as being a catch and being amazing and having a lot to offer the world and other people, when somebody treats you like a second-class citizen or they're simply not interested, you're not going to sit around trying to change their mind thinking some email or some perfect phrase or group of words or ultimate pickup line is going to get them to change their mind. And a lot of us tend to do that. And if we've got a low view of ourselves, if we deep down don't think we're worthy, or we don't think we have a lot to bring to the table, or we have the attitude of, gee, I would just like to get one date with that person, I hope they would just maybe give me a chance. When you look at other people that way, as if you're just, wow, what a gift it is to be in their presence, and oh golly gee whiz, wow, you're not valuing yourself. And if that's how you view yourself, then the actions you take, the tone of your voice, and how you live your life and who you allow into your life is going to be totally congruent with that view, that dysfunctional view that you take of yourself. So I came up with this list. It inspired me to write this long list here of things that are really important that every successful human being, man or woman, should be focusing on to ensure that we're living in accordance with a healthy view of ourselves instead of trying to interact with other people when we have a really low view of ourselves. Because the bottom line is, this is like what Will Smith said, before anybody else will believe it, you have to believe it. In other words, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't think you're awesome and amazing, it's going to be next to impossible for you to attract people into your life who also view you as amazing. Because what's going to happen is when people come along and they act like you're not amazing, or they don't think you're awesome, or they treat you like a second-class citizen, since that action and the way that person is showing up in your life is totally congruent with your personal vision of yourself, you think, oh, I love this person. They're perfect. They're amazing for me. Because what's really going on is that person validates your dysfunctional, limiting belief and view that you take of yourself personally. And so I got a quote that I wrote, and then I'm going to go through these 22 bullet points with you one by one. And the quote says, if you see yourself as having value and being an amazing person, you will consciously take actions and speak in ways that help you manifest your grandest desires and dreams. However, if deep down you don't believe that you have any value or are not an amazing person, you will unconsciously sabotage and steer your life away from the things you want and take actions that will create a life that is congruent with your feeling of unworthiness. People will always act in ways that are consistent with how they view themselves to be, whether that view is accurate or not. You must see, believe, act, and speak in ways that are consistent with loving, valuing, and respecting yourself before others will see you that way. Before anyone else will believe in you, you have to believe in yourself. And over the course of my life, I've had several women that I've dated and who I thought were absolutely fucking amazing. And they just thought they were a piece of shit. And so when they viewed themselves that way, over time, the way they acted was completely consistent with that view they had of themselves. When they thought they were a piece of shit, their attitude was, I can't understand why a guy like you would be interested in a woman like me. I'm thinking, you look like Cindy fucking Crawford. It's like, have you seen yourself naked? I was like, oh my God. But it's like their belief was so strong, and the ways that they acted and the friends that they allowed in their lives, it's like everything was consistent with that view. They had people in their lives, they had careers, they had jobs, they even had businesses that were totally consistent with the view they took of themselves. It's really fascinating. And so this list here is things that people who value and love themselves do on a consistent basis that those who do not value themselves don't. Number 1, they know what they want, why they want it, and they take consistent action to make it happen. Number 2, they are optimistic and often see things as better than they are and eventually make their lives the way they know they could be. What's interesting is people who tend to be pessimistic, they have a more realistic view of themselves and where they're at, and people who tend to be optimistic tend to see things as better than they are. Now here's the interesting thing about that. People who see things as better than they are tend to be optimistic, and so they act in ways that they expect their life to become that way. But people who are pessimistic and therefore tend to be more realistic never really take any risks and never take any action because they just don't believe things could be any different from how they presently are. Again, people will act in a way that is consistent with how they view themselves. Number 3, they are slow to change their minds and quick to change their approach. In other words, part of being successful in life is taking action and trying something. Ideally, the quickest way to learn or to become successful is to find other people who are already succeeding at the highest level doing what you want, model their success, do the same things that they're doing, and you'll get the same results. If it's a job or a career or a business, go work for them for several years. Learn everything you can. Be a sponge. Because if you go and you try to reinvent the wheel on your own, it's going to take you a lot longer, and you're going to be making a lot of mistakes that somebody else has already taken the time and spent the money making. Whereas if you just go work with them or work for them, you can learn the things that are the most important that you need to do. So in other words, when you try something and it doesn't work, you learn something, you got feedback, and therefore now you know what doesn't work. It's like with Thomas Edison he was several thousand different materials that he had tried, trying to figure out how to make a light bulb work. I can't remember how many of it was. It was thousands at the time, and somebody was like, "You failed 7,000 whatever," and he said, "No." He says, "I found 7,000 and something materials that won't make the light bulb work. I'm getting closer and closer to finding the right one." In other words, he just knew it was a process of trial and error, and he would figure it out. And every time he tried something, he got some feedback, he learned, he adapted his approach, and then he tried something else. He didn't give up. That's why we have light bulbs to this day. Number 4, they learn from their mistakes, and they see mistakes as necessary to grow and reach their full potential. You got to become okay with failure. If you become okay with failure and rejection and you realize it's just simply a part of life, you got to get through the no's in order to get to the yeses. Number 5, they do not let negative or weak people influence or impact their heart's desire. When you have a burning desire to do something, when you feel like it's your truth and what you're put on this earth to do, you have to find a way to make that happen. I remember there was a printer I used to go to years ago to get our business cards and stuff printed back when I was in real estate. And the owner was a very successful entrepreneur, and she had this sign that she had made up on her wall, and it just simply said, "Find a way, not a way out." That was so powerful. Number 6, when potential lovers, friends, employers, customers, or partners are not receptive, they don't stick around trying to change their minds. In other words, when someone's not interested in hanging out with you, going on a date with you, making love to you, spending time with you, doing business with you, hiring you, don't take it personally. Just fucking move on to the next person. And that's the email I was talking about earlier. That was the problem with this particular woman. She was projecting her fantasy onto this other woman and assuming that she felt the same way, or that eventually she was going to change her mind, even though the complete reality was after she shot her down several times of her date requests, she just got to the point where she just stopped responding. She tried to be polite at first, but eventually she just started ignoring her. And several months later, she's still sending emails. Don't do that. That communicates that you don't value yourself. Because if you valued yourself, you'd be like, I just got to find the right person I'm compatible with. And if I keep looking, if I keep searching, I will find them. Number 7, they expect and demand that others value them, or they move on to find people who do. Number 8, they take care of their bodies. They exercise and they eat properly and they get the right amount of sleep. If your temple is fucked up, if you have low energy, I only got 5 hours of sleep last night. I feel fucking amazing. My diet is like I'm eating really clean, really healthy food, exercising. I'm running 5 days a week for a little over 3 miles. I'm doing weights 5 days a week. I'm just like really in a groove right now. And I feel amazing. It's like I was up till like 3 in the morning and I got up at like 8:30, 9 o'clock this morning. I feel amazing. You need less sleep when you eat healthier and you exercise right. If your diet is, the more alkaline and healthy your diet is, the less sleep you need. Amazing. Just simple little things. Little difference that makes the difference. Number 9, they do not tolerate assholes, haters, or weak people who constantly try to demean and devalue them. Number 10, they don't give a shit about what other people think about them. They do what makes them happy. Number 11, they don't apologize for being who they are and are not ashamed to be themselves. It's like you're watching the media and on TV. It's like they're just obsessed with people apologize. Oh, so-and-so is offended. When's that apology going to come? Fuck that nonsense. Bunch of phony, ass-kissing, politically correct losers. Number 11, they don't apologize for being who they are and are not ashamed to be themselves. I read that one already. Number 12, they are proud of themselves. They have alpha physiology. In other words, if you've ever watched the video that I did, body language that attracts women, they walk with their head back, their chest out, their arms down at their side, they smile, they feel good, They're peaceful, they're relaxed, they expect things to work out in their favor, even if they're not presently working out in their favor. Eventually, it will. It's simply a matter of time. Number 14, they respect the views of others and demand that others respect their views. They value other people and lend a helping hand where they can, but not at their own expense or to their own detriment. Number 16, they understand that no one will ever do or say anything to them that is not a direct reflection of how they feel about themselves in a moment. Number 17, they understand that no one will ever do or say anything to them that they don't invite them to do. Number 18, they take ownership of their failures. Therefore, they don't blame other people or their circumstances for their failures. Number 19, they know that their personal success or failure is their responsibility and theirs alone. They're not expecting the government or their favorite ass-kissing, lying-ass fucking politician's going to come and save them. They assume that it's up to them to participate in their own rescue and find a way, not a way out. Number 20, they believe in themselves and their dreams even when life seems hopeless and their dreams an unrealistic possibility. In other words, they keep moving forward. They don't quit and they don't give up. They expect, number 21, they expect to succeed eventually. They simply do not give up and know that success is simply a matter of time, repetition, and refinement of one's approach. Number 22, they are very picky, selective, and careful about who they allow into their inner circle and their peer group. Something I learned from Tony Robbins, among the thousands of things I have learned from him, great pieces of wisdom. The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of the people who you consistently spend your time with. The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the expectations of your peer group. If you're hanging out with people that don't have very high expectations, that don't see themselves succeeding as something awesome that they want to become someday, they're going to drag you down and try to keep you on their same level so they feel good about themselves. Surround yourself with successful people. People that are in better shape than you, that are more successful than you, that have the kinds of things that you would like to have someday. Because when you play, it's like you want to become a better golf player, and you play with people that are better golf players than you, you're going to learn. Repetition is the mother of skill. You attract how you act. You are who you associate with. Those are some definite things to think about. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session with yours truly. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the Products tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And I shall talk to you soon.